Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis, and today we got a short little video. I got shit to do. No, today we've got the first installment in what is probably going to be an extremely sporadic series, and that is what I'm listening to. Every once in a while, I come across a piece of music, an album, or sometimes just an individual song that I just love. I love it first listen, right? I like this thing, and it just worms its way into my brain, into my heart, and I can spend, a week, 3 weeks, however long, just listening to that thing on repeat. And I have recently encountered one of these things, so I'm going to talk about it. What I'm listening to this week is the album Surf Music by Paul Williams. Not that one. This one. Paul Williams is a comedian and musician in New Zealand. Probably the most famous for being, if you are a Taskmaster fan, we love Taskmaster here at Papa Nick's Music. If you're a Taskmaster fan, then you might know Paul because he is part of the cast of the New Zealand version of Taskmaster. He is the Taskmaster's assistant. Yes, he is New Zealand's Little Alex Horne. I came to know Paul Williams and the album Surf Music through James Acaster, one of my favorite comedians, James Acaster. I think he's brilliant. I happily would go off on a nice long tangent about how James Acaster elevates the art form, but I'm just going to say I really think the world of James Acaster, so much so that I have watched his specials, both repertoire on Netflix and Cold Lasagna Hate Myself 1999, that you can buy directly from James at his website, jamesacaster.co.uk, probably. There'll be a crawl down here if it's substantially different. But in that special, Cold Lasagna Hate Myself 1999, he uses music during the bits where he's waiting to go out on stage before the first part, where he's waiting to go out on stage after the intermission for the second part, and when he comes off of the stage at the very end. And the first time I watched that special, I thought the music was interesting. I enjoyed it, but I was distracted by the big shiny object that was this special that I was excited to watch. I have since watched Cold Lasagna Hate Myself 1999 probably, 6, 7 times. Yeah, every few weeks I go back and I watch it again. I seriously, I can't get enough James Acaster. And this last time I watched it, which was just about a week and a half ago, I finally decided I needed to find out who wrote that music, who recorded that music. So I did a little Google searching, and I found Surf Music by Paul Williams. Not the one you're thinking of. And I've been listening to this thing pretty much nonstop for the last week or so. So I wanted to take a little time and sing the praises of Surf Music. Encourage you to track down a copy of it and listen to it. I'm having to use the pop-ups. I don't have a physical copy of this thing. In order to get a physical copy, I'm going to have to buy it directly from Paul Williams on Bandcamp, which I am going to do. I just haven't done it yet. But the album is available on streaming services, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you stream your music, you're going to be able to find this thing. Search for title and artist. It'll be a little bit quicker because there are a lot of different Paul Williamses out there. But I digress. I really love this album. To me, this album is, the main thing I like about it is that it is modern pop music written by somebody who really likes 60s pop music. It doesn't sound like 60s pop music, no, but it has certain 60s pop sensibilities. One of the things that I'm drawn to, what pricked my ears up when I watched the James Acaster special, was that the clips that Acaster used feature Paul Williams doing harmonic vocal backdrops, very much like the Beach Boys. Now, it's obvious as I'm listening to it that he's doing this with, auto tuning and pitch correction and that kind of stuff. But that's off to the side. Everybody records with that stuff these days, so you can't get away from that. But I like the sound of it, and I like the way it worked, and so when I say it's got 60s sensibilities, that's part of what I'm talking about. It has things like these layered harmonies in some of the songs, not all of them. The music also has a sense of innocence to it that strikes me as being particularly 60s. It sounds like the kind of thing that the Beach Boys would have recorded if the Wilson brothers were in their late teens today, right? They're not. If they were in their late teens today, they wouldn't be recording the music that they recorded in the 60s. They would be recording modern music, but they would have, they would have their own, they would base everything on their harmonies, and they would have that sense of innocence. I'm going to use this pop format to talk about what I'm feeling as I grow up, which was not super common in the 60s, at least my sense of it, looking back on it, from somebody who actually grew up in the 70s. So it strikes me as very 60s influenced, even though it doesn't sound like it's trying to be. It's not an homage to 60s music. There. I also like the fact that the songs have a sense of humor. They are not joke songs. They're sincere pop songs, but they're written by a comedian, and that comedian has a nice ability to have a turn of phrase that raises a smile. And one of the songs, I'm just going to go ahead and read off of my list here. I wrote this song on some software that I stole when I was 17. I thought that it might get me somewhere. I'm still nowhere, and I'm 23. I like that. That's I thought this would get me somewhere, and no, I'm still nowhere. I might not be the sharpest crayon, but that's because I'm your favorite. I like that. That is a really nice turn of phrase. Your man hits the gym every day so he can lift a really big weight, but I promise he got nothing on me. He probably has a really nice car, doesn't order Fanta when you go to the bar, but even with all that, I promise he's got nothing on me. Fanta's a really nice drink. That little Fanta's a really nice drink at the end of that verse just cracks me up every time. I love it. The song I like on this album probably the most is a song called Braces. It is essentially Paul Williams' version of Billy Joel's That Just the Way You Are, right? It's, Billy Joel had Don't Go Changing to Try to Please Me. Paul Williams has, okay, I've just met you and you've already told me that you want to get braces, but as far as I can see, you're like, yeah, you're flawed, but you're perfect. Your imperfections are perfect, so don't ever change. If we all had no flaws, we would all look the same, right? And she says that she wants braces, but he doesn't think he doesn't think that she should get them because her imperfections are perfect, right? And I love the line in the bridge, "You'll always be pretty as long as there's love in your heart and some crooked ass teeth in your mouth." Only a comedian is going to put crooked ass teeth in your mouth into a line in a song. So the songs have a good sense of humor to them, which I very much like. I very much respect. It's something that I respond to. It also has a nice thematic arc to it. The first song on the album, excuse me, is the title track, Surf Music, and this is the subject matter of the song is that he likes listening to surf music because he likes getting lost in the music and thinking of happier times, happier days, right? And that pretty much sets the tone for the whole album. There's going to be a certain amount of wistfulness, longing for something that I no longer have, or perhaps have never had, but have always thought that I could have, perhaps should have, right? Second song is called Number One. And Number One is the first of, I would definitely two songs, I would argue three songs that are thematically linked and should be seen as like part one, part two, part three. Part one of this cycle is Number One, and in my notes I've got it listed as Anthony Bennett Part One. I could be your number one, this says. I could be your Anthony Bennett. I had to look up Anthony Bennett because I'm not a big NBA fan, but Anthony Bennett was a first-round draft, I think, in 2013. First pick overall, I believe. There was great expectations. He was going to be the savior of the franchise, and he ended up bottoming out, and in a few short years was pretty much out of the league. That is not a highly accurate version of Anthony Bennett's career because, like I said, I'm not an NBA fan, so I already know I got it wrong. Don't worry, don't worry about putting the comment below. But this is from the perspective of you've just met me. We don't know one another yet, and I'm here to tell you I can be your number one. I can be your Anthony Bennett. In the bridge of this song, it says, I wrote this song right after the draft. I wrote this song right after the draft. Okay? And it repeats that a few times. I'm placing this in time. I can be your number one. I can be the piece that you need to be complete and wonderful and all of that. Several songs later, we have EuroLeague, which is, in my notes, Anthony Bennett Part 2. EuroLeague and Number One are very definitely linked with one another. They both talk about Anthony Bennett. They share some melodic elements. EuroLeague is based on, the melody of EuroLeague is based on the bridge of Anthony Bennett. Of Number One. Where Number One was, I wrote this song right after the draft. With EuroLeague, it's, I wrote this song after saying goodbye. And it's, I can be your Anthony Bennett because now I'm playing in EuroLeague. Now I'm out of the NBA. But I still believe I've got it. I still believe I can get that ring. Don't know if if they issue rings here in the Europe League, but I can still do it. The third song in what I would argue is the Anthony Bennett trilogy. My note is essentially Anthony Bennett Part 3, just no reference to Anthony Bennett. And that's the song Nothing on Me. This is the one that I read the lyric from a little earlier with Fanta's a Really Nice Drink. This is the song that says, you've left me for him. Or you picked him over me. Because there's no guarantee that there was actually ever a relationship here, right? You picked him over me, but I'm better than he is. This guy's got nothing on me. He hits the weights every day so that he can lift something really big. Whoop-de-doo, right? This guy's got nothing on me. You went with this guy that you love, even though I love you 1,000 times more than you love him, right? This is Anthony Bennett Part 3 because this is he's not even in the EuroLeague anymore, right? He's completely out of it. He used to think of himself as the number one pick. He then thought of himself as rebuilding his career, and now he's just done. He knows he's not part of this equation anymore. And I like the development of that idea that goes through the album. Braces is probably my favorite song on here. Number One, EuroLeague, Nothing on Me are all good. Surf Music is a good song. Marina is a good song. It's the album closer. Fairly melancholic sound to it, but it also is slightly hopeful because the lyrical content of Marina is after the crushing defeat that was the Anthony Bennett career, he is now seeing the potential in someone else. He didn't believe in love at first sight, but now he does. It's just he's a little frustrated because he doesn't know who she is. He doesn't have any way of he doesn't know where he can't catch her, kind of a thing. Which you can also argue is, what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? The whole point of the Anthony Bennett thing was that, I could be your number one. I could be your number one. Not that I'm ever going to get a chance to do it, because even though that guy's got nothing on me, you're going to pick him every time, right? So it's not, I don't think that there's enough in the lyrics to say that this is a guy who has cycled through a relationship and is now trying to cycle into another one, as much as I think we've got a guy who in his head cycles through a relationship and then is trying to cycle through another one. You can think of it as, it can be a positive ending, it can be a negative ending, just, however you want to see it. And that's one of the things I like about albums like this. It's one of the things I like about good music, about well-written lyrics. They can mean a bunch of different things depending on how you look at them. And I would definitely say that surf music by Paul Williams has that level of lyrics to it. Anyway, that's what I'm listening to this week. I'm listening to Surf Music by Paul Williams, and I strongly encourage you to listen to it as well. Very strongly recommended. It's a good solid A from me. And that's what I'm listening to this week. What are you listening to? Drop that note down below. I always love hearing from you. Are you familiar with this music? Hey, drop that note down below, because I'd love to talk to you about it. If not, please go listen to it and then come back, drop that note, tell me what you think about it. I do love hearing from you. If you enjoyed the video, I hope that you will click the like button. While you're down there, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you have not already subscribed. I would appreciate that. If you do subscribe, click the bell for notifications. The YouTube folks would appreciate that, so I would as well. Thanks again for watching today, and I hope that the rest of your day is untroubled. See you soon.